right, welcome back to another week of Loners. Glad to have you back, and we hope you all are doing well. This is episode 177. Run it.
Run it.
All right, guys. I want to make sure that you've subscribed to this channel and that you jump over and you subscribe to our vlog channel because it means a lot to us. And you're a part of the Loner family, right? So.
Ew, we sound like a corporate job. It's like, we're all family here, bro.
I'm just
kidding.
I'm
if
kidding.
you want to support us, because we need it.
Oh, I wanted to say someone on our vlog channel, they went through the Buy Me a Coffee link and they sent us $50. And I want to say thank you very much.
Thank you, person.
If you still watch our videos, we appreciate it a lot.
That was like their farewell to us.
Well, no, I don't know, but that was really nice of them. So I just want to say thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So today we're going to do an interesting video that's why did so many Germans immigrate to the United States? And it's by Knowledgeia. All right. And let's begin.
According to the United States Census Bureau, the largest ethnic group in the United States of America is German. In 2019, a whopping 43 million Americans described themselves as being
a lot of white people
full or partial German ancestry, with Pennsylvania alone.
Directly.
That's what I meant. For some reason, I thought that it meant like German living here. That's what. Yeah, never mind.
Well, alone
ancestors. But yeah, anyway, sorry.
For 3.5 million.
So
there is no doubt that at some point in time, there were a lot of German immigrants crossing the Atlantic to reach America. But what exactly was the reason? What made so many Germans decide to leave all they'd ever known and owned behind to start a new life in the United States of America? The first notable wave of German settlers in the American colonies came near the end of the 17th century when William Penn, the founder of Pennsylvania, invited religious outcasts from Germany to come and settle in his colony. Many, facing religious persecution back home, eagerly accepted the invitation. For the following decades, German immigration to the colony would steadily increase. For the most part, these settlers were emigrating from the more southwestern regions of Germany, such as Baden, Württemberg, Palatinate, and the Rhineland. But they would not be the only Germans to make their way to Pennsylvania. By midway through the 1700s, these settlers had founded multiple cities, such as Germantown, Skippach, and Conestoga. Upwards of 65,000 Germans had only recently made their way to the welcoming colony by the 1770s. But unfortunately, the influx of German immigrants would drastically decrease as the colonies inched closer and closer to the Revolutionary War. Numerous of the tens of thousands of settlers had left Germany not just for religious freedom, but also to flee from the effects of the 30 Years' War and subsequent conflicts that plagued Germany. Seeing such a large-scale...
All right, sorry guys.
And then
I have to say, I don't know really anything about this, so if you do, just leave it in the comments. About the 30-year war and all that stuff. Never heard of that. But yeah. Have you heard of that? No. Yeah. Honestly, I'm sorry. I don't know anything
There's
about
so many wars in history. I cannot keep up.
Yeah, there is a lot. But all right.
War then break out in the New World. The dream of a new, safe, and promising home was shattered for many. For those who had already arrived in the colonies, though, life was not horrible. Though challenging, it seems that success in the New World was a true possibility for the hard-working immigrants. According to the Historical Society of Pennsylvania, the typical German immigrant was a poor farmer or artisan who arrived around 17...
oh my God. My grandfather, his parents have a picture just like that with like the pitchfork and on the farm and stuff. That's insane.
50 with a wife and 2 children.
Yeah.
They were most likely in debt for the passage across the Atlantic, but had family or friends already settled in America. They were affiliated with the Lutheran or Reformed Church, but only loosely committed to an organized religion. Records indicate that they became prosperous members of the community. However, many were too poor to pay the transatlantic passage, so as many as 1/2 to 2/3 of German immigrants came to Pennsylvania as indentured servants or redemptioners, as Germans called them. These redemptioners were essentially contracted servants for generally between 2 to 7 years, who would be forced to work for a particular employer to make up for the debts they owed and had incurred from their trip to America. And by the time the German influx had slowed, there were already, according to some historians, nearly 75,000 Germans living in Pennsylvania, and many others had immigrated to the rest of the colonies, or would come later on. There had been an almost constant trickle of Germans entering the New World ever since the founding of Jamestown. And
This is crazy. I had no idea that so many Germans were coming over. I just knew, obviously, like British people were coming over.
Same.
And yeah.
I didn't realize how many. Yeah.
even some of the German Hessian soldiers that had been employed by the British during the American Revolution had decided to stay in the United States at the end of the war. During the early 1800s, more Germans had begun to make their way to America, though not in as large of waves due to famine back home. Others would come a few decades later due to the political strife in Germany, and during the 1850s, roughly 1 million Germans arrived in the United States, making the total number of German-born Americans by the 1860s around 1.3 million. In the 1870s, over 100,000 Germans from Russia found their way to America after the Tsarist government stripped away privileges that had been granted to German farmers in Russia hundreds of years prior. The next decade would outshine all the rest, though, as around 1.5 million Germans came to the US just in the 1880s alone. This would be the peak, though, as the number of German-born Americans dropped from 2.9 million to 2.3 million between 1890 and 1910. Immigration had gone down drastically, and in 1920, the number had fallen even further, now sitting at 1.
Maybe people in Germany were starting to get a little like better treatment from the government and other stuff.
After how much time,
0.7 million, and even with the side effects of displacement caused by World War II, Americans born in Germany still only added up to 1.2 million after the start of the conflict. Germans would continue to immigrate over the following decades, as they still do today, but the number of them coming to America has nevertheless dropped remarkably. In 1990, only 58 million Americans claimed to be German or partially German, even though others could be linked to German ancestors. But still, even if the number of Germans coming into America had already reached its high point, they have undoubtedly had a huge impact on the country. And it does seem that German remains the most dominant ethnic.
You know, he didn't really mention about it, but like he just said in that decade from the 1940 to 50, when like World War II is happening, I have to imagine a lot of Germans who didn't agree probably tried to immigrate too, to get out. But yeah, I don't know. It's must have been a tough period.
Yeah, I mean, I read that a lot of countries did not want them.
Yeah, I believe
when they
that.
were escaping.
Yeah.
So.
Damn, yeah.
Group in the country. The reasons for
I don't
their
even think America
migration
wanted them at that
are
point.
multiple. One reason that is often
immigrants.
overlooked, though didn't account for the first wave of immigrants, was the stories told by Germans who had already made their new lives in America with great success. From Gottfried Duden's book to simple letter correspondence between German immigrants and those they knew back home, people in Germany began to hear about the opportunities and freedoms that the colonies and later United States had to offer. Simple word of mouth is often all it takes, but still, there were many other factors that led to Germans crossing the ocean. For many, the feudal system back home left them yearning for more independence, as did other restrictions that had been placed on some, such as limits on marriages due to a fear of overpopulation and
What?
a worsening economy. But the economy was already bad enough for numerous people. High taxes were a constant burden, and making a respectable living just seemed more likely in the New World, with news of land being given to new settlers and industrialization later opening the door for more jobs outside of the typical farming. Furthermore, some communities in the German states were eager to get rid of the lower
Fucking says hashtag refreshing.
class anyway, and would even offer to cover the costs of the journey to America if the immigrants promised to never return home. Other German men left illegally due to military service requirements, while more fled famine and frequent wars. And of course, as demonstrated by many of the original immigrants to the New World, religious freedom was often an important motivator. At the time, many were essentially told what to believe in, Catholicism or Protestantism, for example, by each monarch. For those with strong alternative beliefs who were unwilling to comply, fleeing the country became a way for them to practice their faith in peace. Not only did the American colonies have freedom of religion, but as stated earlier, the founder of Pennsylvania himself had even invited these religious outcasts to settle in his colony. Of course, many reasons exist as to why people of any country immigrate to another.
Sorry, I'm getting confused. What was the main religion, Catholic or Protestant? In Germany or Europe? Like, why were they?
I think Protestant. I heard they were pretty intense people too. Like I heard that like if those people showed up in your area, it wasn't good. It means that they're trying to like take over that area due to religion and get more followers.
Religion makes it's crazy
Yeah.
how far
People will go for it.
still.
Yeah.
And this is far from an exhaustive list, though it is some of the main explanations that have been discovered. Without German immigrants, for example, Americans may not share the tradition of decorated Christmas trees, and the Brooklyn Bridge wouldn't have been built
I
without a
thought Germans
German
had
immigrant
crackers.
engineer, business owners, military generals, scientists. There are dozens upon dozens of names of German immigrants who took the journey across the Atlantic and changed the future of the colonies
Get the fuck
and the
outta here
United
with that
States.
shit.
Today,
At what cost?
Germans still immigrate
Just
to
kidding.
the U.S. on occasion, but more
On occasion.
significantly is the lasting effects of those who had already come. 6 states are believed to have over 30% of their
Holy
total
shit.
populations be made up by full or partial German Americans. Another 7 have an at least 20% ethnic
Damn.
German population, and of all 50 states, not a single one has a German population that makes up less than 4.5% of the state's entire population. Possibly one of the most impressive parts about this is that most immigrants from the German states have assimilated almost, if not entirely, into German American culture and identity, meaning that there really hasn't been an intentional preservation of German identity in America, though some German heritage societies and communities exist. For the most
That is
part,
kinda true.
it's all thanks to the
Not the white man crying. Be quiet.
No, I'm just
millions of
saying.
people who braved the waters to start a new life in the United States that have made
I'm just saying because majority of Germans now here aren't from Germany.
No, of course
themselves.
not. Of course not. And it does make sense because I see a lot of like the white people here. I do see like, oh yeah, like I get it. Like you look like
I don't think I've met someone that has said like, "Oh, I'm part German." Then again, I don't ask people.
yeah. We don't really.
But I feel like some people don't even know.
I feel like a lot of the blonde people with blue eyes probably.
I don't think everyone. I feel like a lot of Germans here aren't blonde.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
think that's more of a stereotype.
Yeah.
I don't know.
so much of America's roots German.
I think you were saying because that German couple we met a long time ago.
Oh
that
yeah.
was actually from Germany and visiting.
Well, apparently O'Neill is like half.
What?
He's half German. Yeah.
Would never think that.
Yeah, he went to go like visit because he did the DNA thing and he saw he's like half German, like a lot of German.
Damn, that's
Yeah.
wild to be half and not know until you did a test.
Yeah. I
unless,
wouldn't
like,
I
you're
wouldn't have
adopted.
expected that either, but all right, I mean that was a very informative video. It was interesting. There's a lot more Germans than I expected. Now I'm going to start noticing it more, I bet you.
Yeah, I agree.
But all right, if you like that video, guys.
Wait, are you German at all on your ancestry test?
Yeah.
How much?
A little bit. It said like 4% or something, 4 or 5%.
Yeah.
But mainly I'm just from it said Spain,
America.
Spain, Native American, and
French Canadian.
yeah. I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Okie dokie.
All right, like
for
and subscribe,
watching.
guys. Jump over to our vlog channel. Go do it.
Follow. Subscribe.
Everything. All right, we'll see you on the next one.
High fives.